key here is to really be able to define who you are or what you're about in a way that others can perceive. People overlook this. They think it's all just messaging. It's the things that I write. I write with my voice and it's very authentic. No, it's also the visual aspect.
Welcome to the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast, where we celebrate the journey of mothers who are not striving for perfection, but embracing the beauty of being good enough. I'm your host, Angela Michuli, and I am so thrilled to bring you today's podcast episode. It had a profound impact on me. I am thrilled to introduce you to the incredible Sandy Grigsby. She is a personal branding image expert, a LinkedIn learning instructor, and the founder of Brio 5. She has also been featured on Mindvalley, QuickBrain, LinkedIn, and has been a TEDx speaker. So what are we going to learn in this episode? Sandy is going to help us explore the essence of a personal brand, what it is, why it's crucial, and the keys to owning it. We're also going to uncover the secrets of confidence, where to find it, and why it's a cornerstone of your personal brand. Sandy's also going to guide us through the journey of self-worth, sharing invaluable insights on how to uncover and embrace your unique value. Plus, we're going to explore the digital landscape and learn how to amplify your online brand for maximum impact. And if that's not enough, Sandy's going to share her expertise on preparing for a photo session, offering tips and tricks to ensure that you radiate authenticity and confidence in every shot. And then also, Sandy is so generous to provide listeners with a special offer at the end of the episode. So if you listen to the end, you'll be able to get special access to one of her LinkedIn courses. So check that out and listen to the end of the episode for that information. So get ready to be inspired, motivated, and equipped with the tools to elevate your personal brand. And without further ado, let's jump into this transformative conversation with the amazing Sandy Grigsby. Hi, Sandy. Thank you for being on the podcast today. I don't know what I did to have the just fortune of having some time to talk with you about all your expertise and everything that you're going to share with us today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. And what you did was you did something. You're making it happen. A lot of people are just doing a bunch of nothing and they're hoping things come to them, but you are proactive. And so that's why I'm here today.
Right. I thank you for that. And yeah, and it's true. Like when you start something, you feel motivated and passionate about it. For a long time, you don't know where it's going to go or what's going to, and this moment right now is, that coming to fruition and, all the incredible women that I get to speak to every week who are doing amazing things. So thank you for being part of that. And I can't wait to dive in. So you are one of the world's leading personal branding image experts. And that is so interesting and something we all really need to understand on a personal level. So can you dive into your story a bit on how you became this expert and what was like the tipping point for you? And I just love hearing how you understand what personal branding is.
Well, my journey was not a quick one. It took me years to get where I'm at, and it was a lot of hard work, and I had to learn the hard way. So I began as a graphic designer. That's what I got my degree at university. And coming straight out of university, I started working for one of the top photographers in Los Angeles. And this was like in the really early 2000s. And from that, I was building websites for his celebrity clients. So my lucky break was the fact that I was in Hollywood working for the right people, right time, right place. But that came with challenges because this was like I said, early 2000s. There was a lot of sexual harassment going on. There were a lot of things. The Me Too movement hadn't even been mentioned yet. And so it was an uncomfortable place. But the big takeaway that I did was I learned everything I could from the people that I was working with. And when I broke off on my own, I started out by working with small businesses. So I was taking everything about building these beautiful websites for celebrities, and I was applying it to little mom and pop businesses like chiropractic offices, doctors' offices, small startups, photographers, things like that. And as my business started to grow, I realized that my clients were giving me images that were really bad. I mean, like bad. And I was such a great designer that I was doing really high quality work. And then I was getting these images that were grainy, blurry. It didn't look like them. It was low quality. They just didn't look happy. There was nothing that I had grown to learn about the person represented in these images. So I started taking photographs of my clients. And the thing that I had in my back pocket was, having worked for that photographer, I was an amazing retoucher. So I could take these pictures and I could retouch them and make them look great. And then as I started to do more of that, I just got better at photography. And one of the other tools I had was, to pay my way through university, I was a commercial print model. So I started modeling when I was 18 years old. And I remembered how the photographers would teach me how to pose, what to do with my face, how to position my body. So I started applying that to my clients. And the end result was my pictures just got better and better and better. And over the years, I got so strong at photography that I completely dumped the web design portion of my business. And I did exclusive personal branding portrait photography. Now, this is over 20 years. And after a while, I got really good at that. I was working with a lot of executives from Fortune 500 companies like Apple Computer and Facebook. I was working with people at Instagram before it was Facebook, Meta. And I ended up being so busy and so booked. My clients were flying in from all over the world. And because of that, see, that's the catch. They were flying in from everywhere. I had exclusivity on this market. Like, people were coming in from Australia, so many clients from England, from Sweden, Canada, Mexico, everywhere. The problem was the pandemic hit and no one could fly. Every single one of my clients was flying in. I didn't have anyone local. That was the way I marketed myself. And I was located in Los Angeles. And that's when I realized I had to pivot. So what I decided to do was take everything that I had been doing for 20 years, and I turned it into something I could teach people. And ultimately, I created some programs to help people really understand how to market and create an effective and powerful personal brand. And I also then pivoted a little bit more. And then I started doing one-on-one with my high-level clients. And those people, I help them with their brands, and I also creative direct their brands. So it's not just getting them to understand their confidence, how they're looking on camera, how their collateral materials, their website, everything looks. It's also about managing their teams and making sure that it's executed properly.
So much. So I want to brain dump.
I
love it. I know. No, I mean, it's so incredible. And it's hard. You don't look like you could have 2 decades of experience in this space at all. But I mean, clearly you are such an expert. So for somebody who's listening who doesn't quite understand what a personal brand is, or thinks they know what a personal brand is, because I think we get so many things wrong about it.
There's a lot of misinformation.
Right. Why don't you give us a little personal brand 101? Like, what is it?
So there's a difference between a personal brand and personal branding. So I want to make that distinction first. So your personal brand is everything available about you. So it's what you say. If you say something in your marketing, if you're on a video, if you put something on a website, whatever it is that you actually say, that's part of your personal brand. It's also what others discover. So if they Google you, whatever they find, whether you said it or someone else said it, it's part of your personal brand. You have to keep that in mind. That's really important. So it's everything available to the market about you. Meaning, if there's nothing available about you, that's your personal brand. Now, personal branding is the actual process or the act of marketing yourself and your personal brand. So it's the things that you do. It's writing that post for social media. It's going and having that photograph taken and publishing that online. It's controlling the narrative of your personal brand. So those are the two distinct things about a personal brand and personal branding.
I love that. And one thing that I would really like to talk about is, what is it that we need to understand and get in touch with ourselves that really helps us find what that authentic personal branding is? Because I think that's so critical. You can make up what you think is your brand or what you want to have, but if it's not authentic, and I think you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it's just not going to land right?
You are spot on. Angela, I try to emphasize this so much with my clients because people put out the mask. It's what they want people to see. So it's that perception. It's the facade. A lot of celebrities do this, actually. You'll see the celebrity everyone thinks is so sweet and so nice. And then you hear these horror stories that they're awful. That's the mask. And people tend to do that. They put on a mask so that they'll appear more confident. They'll put on a mask that they'll appear more clever or smarter than they might actually think they are. And when you are working in a way that more realistically conveys who you are, you don't need to wear that mask. And yes, you might not be for everyone. People might not like you, but that's okay. Because the people who do like you will love you, and they're going to be the diehard raving fans that are going to stick with you. And that's the thing that people overlook. I have a client who is older and he's very direct. He will say things that sometimes people don't like. And the way he lives his life, there are people that just can't stand it. He's got dreadlocks. He's talks about things that people just aren't thrilled with. But what I found, because I'm working with him on his TikTok channel, what I found is that because he's just him, he's authentic, he's real, he doesn't sugarcoat things the way that most people would expect. He has such a fan base of raving diehard fans that when people troll him and say really mean stuff, his fans beat them up in the comments. So his fans go after people and they go after them aggressively. I was just watching today a banter of someone who said something mean, and the people just went, it was like 10 comments deep of attacking this person for saying something mean. And that's because he's real in who he is. He doesn't need to wear a mask. So I recommend that for everyone. You once you really understand how to show up as you, people admire you for it. And the key here is to really be able to define who you are or what you're about in a way that others can perceive. And a lot of people overlook this. They think it's all just messaging. It's the things that I write. I write with my voice and it's very authentic. No, it's also the visual aspect. So it's the image that you use, because an image, you've heard a picture tells 1,000 words. If someone looks at you and you are coming across in a way that's not truly you. So for example, Angela, how would you describe yourself today? Give me 5 words.
Caring, ambitious, smart, loyal, and hardworking.
Perfect. Okay. So now I want you to think of yourself as a child, little baby Angela, and go back as far back as you remember. What are the earliest memories? How old would you have been? Can you remember?
Probably 2.
Perfect. Okay. So I want you to think back as far as 2 and no older than about 6. Okay. Got it?
Okay.
Now, give me 5 words to describe yourself at that age.
Sassy. Let's see. funny, um, also smart. Um, I've always been very nurturing. So even at that young age, I was that way. Um, and very, I don't know how to say it, kind of grounded. Like,
Hmm.
so yeah,
I like those words. All right.
yeah, I'm an old
And
soul.
I love that. And
Yeah.
give me 5 words that your friends, family, people that work with you, people who know you
Mhm.
very well, what would they say to describe you? What 5 words would they use?
They would probably say I'm very reliable. I'm that person who knows everything. Like they if they don't know about something, they come to me.
So is
I
that
am,
knowledgeable?
yes, knowledgeable. I'm nurturing. I'm everybody's mother, my friends, my daughter's friends. I'm their mother, I'm everybody's mom. Um, they would probably say I'm a hard worker and probably kind. I would say everybody's tells me how kind I am.
I
So,
love that. Okay,
mhm,
so this is just a simple exercise that I'm doing here, but I want you to
mhm,
hear back what you said. Okay.
mhm,
You said caring, ambitious, smart, loyal, hardworking. That's how you
mhm,
described yourself now.
mhm,
Then, as a child, you said you were sassy, funny, smart, nurturing, and grounded. You
mhm,
said your friends and family and people you know very well would say reliable, knowledgeable, nurturing, hardworking, and kind.
mhm,
Okay.
mhm,
When you described yourself as a child, those are very powerful words.
mhm,
And you didn't use them to describe yourself when I first asked you.
mhm, mhm,
Do you see how you left a big part of who you actually are? Because as children,
mhm,
that's who we were before we were influenced by life, circumstance,
mhm,
goals,
mhm,
purpose, whatever it is. That's just who we innately are.
mhm.
And you left some of those things. Well, you left all of those things out. But,
Right.
but when you thought about how friends and family would describe you,
Mhm,
you brought in nurturing, which is something you said
mhm,
that you were as a child, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
kind, which kind of go hand in foot.
mhm,
And
mhm,
I love the reliable and knowledgeable part. But again, you didn't really say that about yourself. You said smart, I'm smart, but
mhm,
knowledgeable and smart, they're similar. But
mhm,
knowledgeable, I feel, is even more powerful because that comes with
mhm,
wisdom, right?
mhm,
So,
mhm,
this is what I'm saying. If you can get super laser focused on how to define yourself,
mhm,
then you can start being more effective in how you market yourself and your personal brand because now you can choose images that
mhm,
reflect those words. You can
mhm,
write copy that reflects that message or those words, and you can
mhm,
live in those words. So from
mhm,
all of those words, I'm going to just make this easy for you. You heard the old words, you heard the friends and family words, and you've heard
mhm,
the childhood words. So the new words,
mhm.
your words now, childhood words, friends and family words. Pick 5.
Pick 5 that I would want to be representative. I
Mm-hmm.
think knowledgeable, um, would probably be one of the more powerful ones. Reliable, um, kind, funny,
I like that.
and maybe a little sassy, but maybe those can go hand in hand. But and hardworking, I think. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, and hardworking was one that was from before.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So sassy, funny, reliable, knowledgeable, hardworking.
Mm-hmm.
See how now that shifts your brand?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
before it was caring, ambitious. Ambitious can come across as aggressive and many other
Mm-hmm.
things, right? Smart,
Mm-hmm.
smart's good.
Mm-hmm.
Loyal and reliable kind of go together,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
hardworking. But now
Mm-hmm.
you can be super clear. Sassy means you're giving a little bit more personality when you speak
Mm-hmm.
and the way you write, right?
Mm-hmm.
Funny, put some jokes in there, make people laugh. People
Mm-hmm.
love the connection of
Yeah.
laughter. I watched a video
Mm-hmm.
today of some guy on TikTok. I laughed so hard that my eyes were watering. I was crying and I couldn't breathe and I started overheating. And I had to
Mm-hmm.
share that video to like 20 people. Okay. So add humor to the way that you market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And most importantly, your image.
Mm-hmm.
Does your image show off that sassy, funny, knowledgeable, hardworking side of yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think sometimes I think I kind of grapple with, can people believe that somebody who's knowledgeable and funny exists at the same time? You know? So
That makes you seal the deal on smart.
right.
But yes, yes. And you know the funny part is there are going to be people that do not want funny. They're not. They're
Mm-hmm.
going to hate it. They like
Mm-hmm.
think about it. Would you want a funny CPA
Mm-hmm. Well,
always making
yeah, and
jokes about your book?
uh-huh,
You're gonna be
right.
like, it's not funny, stop joking. People are
Mm-hmm.
gonna hate that. But
Mm-hmm.
someone who is really afraid of bookkeeping and just, and taxes and all this stuff might
Mm-hmm.
need someone who's funny to relieve the stress. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be for someone, but it's not going to be for everyone. But for who you are
Mm-hmm.
meant for, that equals diehard raving fans that'll fight trolls for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love that because I think one of many entrepreneurs' biggest fears about developing their personal brand or their online brand is this fear of being attacked.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Especially
love that.
nowadays.
Right. Yeah, we can turn that around and just, find our who we want to really hone in on those qualities that we want to exhibit and, dial in for other people. And that will help us, deter those haters, I guess, in a way.
Exactly. And here's
Hmm.
something that your audience will love. If you get those haters, then just say to them when they're being trolls and they're talking about stuff that, they don't know, they're just wrong. Just
Hmm.
tell them, you really should look up ultra crepidarian.
Ultra crepidarian.
Mm-hmm. It means speaking about something you have little or no knowledge of. And you can be polite in the comments, say that. I've done it to so many people. And at the end, they just go, well, still. They can't come back with anything because they don't know what it
I
means.
love that.
Then they Google it and they're like, oh. Favorite word of the year, ultra
Okay.
crepidarian.
Right. I love that. Okay. Well, do you have the other tips for us to hone in on those parts of us? Because I think, I really love this conversation because so many people think they have to go and take the next course and get the next coach. But I really truly think to explode your impact, you need to dial in on getting to know yourself better. That is the
Yes.
one thing that's going to truly help grow your business and your impact. So, are there any other tips that you have for us that can really help us get to know ourselves better, to better develop our personal brand and branding?
Yes, absolutely. First off, I believe it's really important for people to fall in love with themselves again. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't mean it in a selfish way. Oh, I'm so great. Look at me. Like the I'm
Mm-hmm.
too sexy for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking
Mm-hmm.
about putting yourself in a position that you care so much about yourself, you
Mm-hmm.
won't allow harm to come to you.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the way you would do with a pet or a
Mm-hmm.
child or a sibling. You become protective. You will fight for them. You will die for them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we need to do that for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And once we're able to really fall in love with ourselves, we no longer tolerate things. We know when physically things are affecting us and we can't allow that to happen. So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, if you are in a situation that's very stressful, you can feel that stress start before you've
Mm-hmm.
even done whatever it is you're going to do. So, it's about loving yourself enough to go, you know what? I'm going to say no to this situation right now out of a kindness to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And once we do that and we start feeling our intuition and listening to ourselves, then you start to make the right choices.
Mm-hmm.
People feel like they have to do everything, especially in business as an entrepreneur. And when it comes to marketing yourself, I have to be on all the social media platforms. I have to be, nonstop going. And the problem is they do that to a point of burnout. They do that to a point of stress. They become unhealthy. Then they start to second guess themselves and start having doubts and negative self-talk, and all of this stuff starts bleeding in. But if we start listening to our bodies and listening to our minds in a way of not the negative talk, but our minds going, you know what, maybe I should take a break from this, or maybe I shouldn't do these things. It allows us to have more clarity and more freedom to do the right things when the time is right. So for me, for example, I've taken a break from my social media because it became not fun. It was overwhelming. It wasn't fun. I wasn't enjoying it. I had saturated the internet with my brand and I didn't like it anymore. So I took a pause. And during that time, I reconnected with myself. I've managed to refine my messaging even more. I've managed to get more clarity on who I want to work with and what I want to do. And I'm so much more relaxed and happier that this is going to sound so crazy. I don't break out anymore. Nothing has changed. I haven't changed my diet. I haven't changed my skincare. I haven't done anything. I just changed my stress levels. And I actually now, because I'm getting back into it, I'm working more than I have before. And my skin is clearer than ever. So it's little things like that. It's like, listen to your body, understand what loving yourself actually means, and put that into work for yourself. Make that happen. And when you do, everything comes easier. Decisions become easier. The way you pick and choose for what you're going to do for your business, for your brand, for your life becomes so much easier. And you call things in that you didn't expect because you're open for them.
Yeah. No, it's so powerful because I think as women and moms, we're actually predisposed to be more intuitive. And we, at some point, or at various times, we get desensitized to that. We stop listening to ourselves.
I was just going to say that we stop listening, or we second guess, or we doubt. And that's the biggest mistake. You have to listen, because the worst is when you don't listen to yourself and then you beat yourself up over it. Oh, I should have. Oh, I knew I did. It's like, that's the worst thing you can do to yourself.
We get caught up in the comparison. We get caught up in listening to people tell us what we should be doing. When really, if you hone in on that intuitive, I never knew what a superpower that was. I've always been highly intuitive my whole life. And I wish somebody would have told me earlier, like, just keep doing that. We're always looking for somebody else to give us all the answers, especially in entrepreneurship. And, and really, even as moms, there are oftentimes when we have a gut feeling and we just ignore it. So,
yes,
so
often.
I totally agree with that.
And then the worst part is when we don't ignore it and we follow our gut, we forget that we did that.
That's true.
Right? You forget that you did it, and then it comes around another opportunity, and then you don't, and you beat yourself up for it. Instead of going, last time I listened to my gut and that was awesome. I need to do that again. And praising yourself for that. That was amazing. That time I listened to my gut.
Yes. And I so agree with that. So let's talk about confidence. I mean, you are, and I think that's just, if we could just give everybody in the world a dose of confidence, can you imagine what the world would be like?
Such an incredible place. I say it all the time. If everyone had confidence, this world would be perfect.
It is, yes, we do so many or don't do so many things based out on our level of confidence. And I love your story about you're so vulnerable about talking about how there was this time in your life when you weren't confident, which I think for so many people, they would just look at you and go, what?
Yeah, I get that.
So
I get that a
I mean, so I love it when somebody who seems to we see the highlight reels, we don't get to see what people have gone through. So can you talk about confidence, how we can find it, how we can nurture it? So it's not something that you just get, it's not one and done.
No, it goes right back to the self-love part.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't work on the things that are beating you up emotionally and internally, you
Mm-hmm.
cannot find confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Confidence, I used to say confidence comes with experience. Yes, it absolutely does. But
Mm-hmm.
it's also a combination. It comes with
Mm-hmm.
experience. So I have been doing web design for so many years and photography for so many years that I'm confident I can take an incredible shot. I know it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm confident I can design a killer website. I just know it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, no question. I just can do it because
Mm-hmm.
I have so many decades of experience,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that comes with
Mm-hmm.
experience. But there are other things that I have no experience in, that I have
Mm-hmm.
no confidence in. But
Mm-hmm.
if I love myself enough,
Mm-hmm.
then I can let the fear and the
Mm-hmm.
worry and the doubt go. So even though I'm not confident I can make a perfect quiche, actually I can. I can make a really great quiche. I've done it before quite a few times, but let's just say I have never done it. I might not be confident at it, but I can figure it out because I'm confident in myself and I love myself enough and I have
Mm-hmm.
good enough intuition and I trust in it that I know everything is figure outable. And that's what we need to do as people in today's society. We need to
Mm-hmm.
start owning the fact that we can figure stuff out. And so what if it sucks the first time? It's probably going to suck the first 500 times. Do you think I was great at
Mm-hmm.
retouching in the beginning? No, my pictures look so horrible. You should have seen the first
Mm-hmm.
photograph I ever took. I feel sorry for that lady. But I practiced and practiced and practiced. And now I'm confident I can make anyone look great in a photo, whether I took
Mm-hmm.
it or not, because I know how to
Mm-hmm.
fix it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to love yourself enough to give yourself that. And
Mm-hmm.
everything else just requires experience.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think that there's this really interesting connection between self-love and courage,
Mm-hmm.
that it
Yes.
is to take those big steps. And, I don't know if you have any tips for us finding that courage, or if you had a moment where you were like really intimidated, but you found an inspiration to just have the courage to go and do what you wanted.
Yeah. You know, the biggest time where I had to find courage was the
Mm-hmm.
moment I realized I couldn't tolerate the pain I was in anymore.
Yeah.
And that has happened to me multiple times in my life. It's happened with
Mm-hmm.
relationships, work. There was a point
Mm-hmm.
where I was working so much that I was getting such severe carpal tunnel syndrome in my right wrist from all of the retouching and carrying heavy camera equipment and all of that,
Mm-hmm.
that my hand would just shake like this nonstop. I couldn't tolerate the pain. So I
Mm-hmm.
had to change something.
Mm-hmm.
So when you figure out what you can't tolerate anymore, that's when
Mm-hmm.
you find the courage, because people
Mm-hmm.
will tolerate things. It's like the frog in the boiling pot. They'll
Mm-hmm.
tolerate it and the pot's getting hotter and hotter. And then they don't realize how hot it is. And then it's the end. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to realize when it's your limit. I'm not tolerating this anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
for most people, it delves into relationships,
Mm-hmm.
spouses, friends. Oh my gosh, they could
Mm-hmm.
be the most toxic.
Yeah.
Colleagues. When are you no
Mm-hmm.
longer going to tolerate abuse?
Mm-hmm.
Which means you have to love yourself enough to say, no,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tolerate
Mm-hmm.
this behavior. I'm not going to tolerate this treatment, and to say no,
Mm-hmm.
and to have the courage by that point to go, it's over,
Right.
and to speak up.
Mm-hmm.
And finding your
Yeah.
voice is one of the biggest steps in having courage, because finding your voice is scary, especially over the past 3 years of silencing.
Yeah, I mean, you have your own podcast. I'm sure that that was a bit scary to start that as well. I love it. I'm such a fan. I'm just like, this is so awesome. I mean, it's such helpful information. But I know a lot of people talk about, when I talk to other podcasters, how scary it is to start a podcast because you're just on the other side of a microphone, and you have that delayed interaction with your audience, if you have one at all. It's so scary. Um, but another thing that I think is really connected to self-love is discovering your worth. And I love how you talk
Mhm.
about that as well. And it's so important. And I know for me personally, once I started to discover my self-worth, not only did my happiness, my income, my life completely changed. So, can you talk about, ways in which we can get closer to understanding our self-worth? Because I think that is so critical.
It goes right back to self-love and tolerating things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know I'm not giving you anything that's
No,
exciting and new, but
I
it
think
is what it is.
it is so connected. Um, but I think we just too do not give ourselves credit
No, not at
for,
all. But it's because we're tolerating that,
yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we
Right.
haven't gone, wow, I love myself enough to no longer accept this low pay or
Mm-hmm.
to no longer, I'm not going to have someone treat me this way. I will
Mm-hmm.
not, I'm worth too much.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes
Mm-hmm.
back to that self-love part. If you love yourself enough, you'll go, whoa, this is not worth my time. Worth.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Mm-hmm.
time. That's self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to tolerate this abuse. I'm not going to
Mm-hmm.
tolerate being treated like this. I'm not going to tolerate these low wages. I'm not going to tolerate slaving at this job for nothing in
Mm-hmm.
return. It's not
Mm-hmm.
worth it to me. And when we
Mm-hmm.
figure that out, everything changes.
Mm-hmm.
So for
Yeah.
me, same thing. For my high ticket clients, I charge a lot of money. And it's
Mm-hmm.
not because, it's not because I want to make them hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not because I want to make my life so easy because I charge so much money that I don't really have to do anything. It's because I know what I do is great. I'm really good at what I
Mm-hmm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not worth my time to work one-on-one if someone isn't fully invested.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
way I get people to be fully invested is they have to pay a lot of money. I need to make it
Mm-hmm.
hurt. And when it
Mm-hmm.
hurts for them, they're going to be there. They're going to do the work. They're going to show up
Mm-hmm.
on time. They're going to pay attention. They're going to listen to my advice and they're going to respect what I have to say because I'm the
Mm-hmm.
expert and they are not. And I know it.
Mm-hmm.
So I charge accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people don't realize. The problem that you have is you have people who are not worth what they're charging too much. And then they don't have any, they value themselves too high. They overvalue themselves and they're not
Mm-hmm.
delivering the right service or product. But if
Mm-hmm.
you know you are doing your best, you're giving years of experience, you are doing what is the most valuable service you can give to someone that's really going to change their lives, then you need
Mm-hmm.
to know your worth and you need to charge accordingly. Don't be like
Mm-hmm.
those other people who just charge just to rip people off, which I don't agree with at all.
Right. No, I think that there is something really magical if you are aware when you start taking action and you start seeing the impact that you have on people. And that can be a real flag for your value. And
Yes,
you have to be very aware of that because I think we so often take things that especially are easy for us for granted. Like, it's not hard. Something that can be innate and easy for you can be very difficult for somebody else.
absolutely. Really hard for other people.
Yes. And so I think it's really important to just do a self-assessment and think about the impact that you have on people's lives. I mean, you're transforming people's businesses. You're transforming the trajectory of their careers.
Saving their
They're
families.
right. Yes,
Yeah. I know
absolutely.
people who work with parents who have children that have autism and other issues that
Mhm,
it makes it really impossible for the parents to function in the household. And when these people
mhm,
work with them and help get their kids on track, help them give them
mhm,
clarity, it
mhm,
changes their lives,
mhm,
right? So people don't realize how valuable their services are that they offer and how people actually need it. It might be easy to you, but it's really hard for other people. Like for me, doing certain things are so easy. I'm like, how do you not get that? But other people don't get it because I've been doing it for 20 years. It's easy. So I can use what I know and teach them and make it easy for them as well, or do it for them. So you have to understand, what is your value? What comes easy to you? Or what do you have enough experience so you're confident in it that you can fully help someone to the best of your capability?
Yes. It's all tied and connected together.
Exactly. It's that simple.
It really, and it's so simple, but it's so tough. It is just, I think we just really don't emphasize how important it is to do the inner work before, you want to do anything else. I mean, the inner work is so important.
I wanted to add something to this because it's not just doing the inner work. It's not just removing negative self-talk, understanding your value, loving yourself. You could do all of those things and still have no confidence. There are two other aspects that you really have to implement if you want to change your life. That is creating new rules for the fears that you have. It's really important. We all are afraid of something, but we've allowed ourselves to apply rules to our fears. So, for example, if you are afraid of people saying negative things about you, right? Then the rule that you would probably apply would be something like, well, I won't put myself out there because if I do, people are going to say negative things, or I won't speak my mind, or I will always be super nice and helpful to everybody and never, ever, ever say no. Those are rules that you are applying to your life in order to avoid people rejecting you and not listening to you, not buying from you, not liking you, right? So you're creating rules. So if we create new rules, everything changes, right? So a new rule for rejection could be, for example, I will only feel rejected if the King of England throws a pie in my face because I gave him pumpkin bear pie and he hated it. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, right? And because it's ridiculous, you have to laugh. And you're like, pumpkin bear pie, what the hell is that? Doesn't matter. It's ridiculous. And if he throws it in your face, you deserve to be rejected. But anything else, somebody doesn't like my video on Instagram, someone doesn't like something I said, someone said no and they didn't want to hire me. Did the King of England throw a pie in my face that was pumpkin bear pie? No, the rule does not apply. I will not feel this fear. I will not feel rejection. I'm going to move on because this isn't worth my time. I value myself too much. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that's really important that people overlook, and this is one of the biggest zingers, is your health. I got so sick a few years ago. I had parasites, fungus, bacteria, heavy metal poisoning. I had so much stuff going on. I lost probably, I don't even know, I lost count, 60 to 70% of my hair. I was bloated. I looked gaunt. And how could you be, right? Looking sunken in the face, but fat in the tummy and like, whoa, feeling like hell, not being able to stay awake, being lethargic constantly, slurred speech, brain fog. I mean, I had it all. My body was falling apart. And it was because I was not paying attention to my health. I was overworking. I was stressed out. I wasn't eating the right foods. I was not taking care of the things. I was putting myself in situations that allowed parasite overgrowth to happen and bacteria and fungal overgrowth. And all of that was making me sick. And the only thing I knew was I had a bloated tummy, I was losing hair, and I was severely depressed because the symptoms don't show up. But once I got diagnosed and I got treated, the depression went away, my hair grew back, my belly went flat. I felt better. I had more energy. I wasn't falling asleep. I wasn't slurring my words. I became sharper. It was to the point where people were saying to me, wow, I can tell you're doing better. I'm like, how? And they go, you're so sharp. Right? So we apply a low confidence. We apply low self-worth, all of these things to something that might be so simple as health, diet, nutrition, making sure you don't have heavy metal poisoning or parasites or some other disorder that's affecting you physically. And so you're beating yourself up emotionally for something that is, I want to say, out of your control, because if you're sick, it's out of your control and it's going to put you on this roller coaster, but yet in your control, because now you have to take your life back and manage your health.
We talk a lot about both fear and your health on this podcast. So I love that you mentioned that. And I love that I don't like it when people are like, you just need to be fearless. No, we all have fear. You just have to be comfortable with the fear. You have to make friends with the fear. And I
Make
love
rules.
Yes. Yeah. I love the rules. And, keeping that anxiety and fear in check is learning you can do that is so key. So let's say somebody finally gets the confidence to start their online business. I love that you specifically focus on online branding, and because it can be so scary, there are so many more mental hurdles because, brick and mortar, you can, it's just totally different
hide.
than an online business. You can
brick and mortar, you can hide.
Yes. It's like, so yeah, can you give us some quick tips on online branding and
Yes.
thriving in the online space?
Yes, absolutely. So first of all, you want to make sure that your image is on point. So you remember the part where I said, define who you are? You want to make sure that that image reflects those words. So Angela, you want to make sure that your photo shows you as sassy, reliable, knowledgeable, hardworking, right? Kind. So what could that look like? Sassy means maybe you're going like, you're having fun, you're smiling, you're like making an expression, raised eyebrow, whatever it is, but you're showing that there's some personality here, right? Hardworking is maybe you've got a notebook and a pen and you're ready to dive in, or you're at your computer, you're doing something to show that you're ready to work. Kind, you're still leaning in, because leaning away from the camera shows don't come near me, stay away. But leaning in is warmth and connection and conveys kindness. And then smiling, of course, right? So you want to smile, lean in. And reliability can be tilted the head like, I hear you, I'm here, right? So you could do all these kinds of things. And also, it's the words that you say. So start with your image. Let someone look at that picture and feel those words from your image. You want them to go, wow, she seems so funny. She seems so nice. I really want to work with this person, right? Then you go into the messaging. Have that voice, have that tone, say something that's a little bit sassy. And if you don't think people get it, they go, I'm just kidding, but put it in there so people can understand that you're being funny. Say something that's kind. Kindness can be conveyed in so many ways in messaging. Like, I am here because I've been where you are. I understand you and I'm ready to help. Right? So it's using words that convey your words. You don't have to go, I'm a kind person who's very funny, but you will say things in a way that are funny and demonstrate kindness. So what I recommend is always start with the image, because people are visual, 90% visual, right? People will see something and make a snap decision within a 10th of a second. Then work on the words. How is the messaging? And also for videos, if you're in videos, lean in, not away, smile, pause, have that warm connection, say things like you instead of everyone or guys. Say, hey, are you needing help today? I would love to help you. And let me tell you my story. So that's what you want to do. You want to have that lean in, that warmth, and that connection with your audience. And then when you are marketing yourself, try to get more images than just one headshot. That's one thing people overlook. If someone's looking you up online, they're going to want to learn about you holistically, and one picture isn't enough to tell the complete story. So the more pictures, the better, because it's a sampling of different things. So one of my clients, for example, is Dave Asprey. If you Google Dave Asprey, he's the famous biohacker who started Bulletproof Coffee. If you Google him, there are so many pictures of him online, and they are some of him holding coffee. Some of them he is smiling. Some of them he's not. Some of them he's holding his bag of coffee, whatever. It's all over the place. Sometimes he's without a shirt. Sometimes he is, but it's kind of all over the place. So when he started working with me, I said, listen, we need to convey you of how you really are, because these other images, they're kind of generic and they don't really tell us much. And one of the things is he's a big advocate for sustainable, regenerative farming. He's a big advocate. You can't find any pictures of that of him online, right? So now in his branding, we're capturing images of him doing sustainable, regenerative farming, so he can show that. Another thing is he's got kids. No one would know. You can't find any pictures of him with his kids. So we just did a photo session in Ibiza with his daughter, so he can release those and have pictures with his family. He loves coffee. There are a couple pictures of coffee, but now it's more like sit with me and have a coffee, as opposed to like I'm just holding my coffee cup in the studio. And it's that lean in, because he likes to have conversations with people and really talk to them about their health and healing their body and mind. So how can you convey your messaging of who you are, what you're about, what defines you visually? Also, if you're working with people, if you do like consulting, for example, pictures of just you on your website or social media don't tell us a good enough story. If you actually work one-on-one, even if it's with Zoom, have pictures of you sitting with a physical body and engaging with them, where you're having a conversation with them and they're reacting in a positive way. So if you make your client, if you're funny and you make your clients laugh, have a picture where you're telling them, your mouth's open, you're obviously talking, and they are cracking up. They're laughing so hard, they're holding their belly, there's tears in their eyes, they're laughing, because now you're conveying that you're funny without actually saying, I'm funny, right? Or do it in videos. There's so many ways you can convey this. And this is the thing people overlook. They focus on one image, maybe two. They're low resolution, they're small, and they don't tell a story. So tell a story with your images and make a more powerful online image.
I love those tips. And I also love the tip in one of your podcasts to ask strangers their opinion. To, we often
absolutely
we often just rely on those people who know us. And I thought that was so brilliant.
Yeah, you should ask. So here's the funny thing about asking strangers. I tell people not to ask strangers their opinion of the new pictures that they had taken if they're following everything that I've said. Because what's going to happen is people are going to go, oh, well, here you look uptight, or here's blah, blah, blah. I have them ask strangers about their existing photo when they're just starting out on their branding journey. So have a stranger look at your picture and go, what does this tell you? And they'll go, oh, you don't look that friendly, or you seem really shy, or you might be really quiet, or, you seem silly. Oh, you seem really young. And you're like, oh God, I'm not young. I want to be mature. Right. So that's a good starting point for asking strangers. But once you really identify and you understand what makes you funny, unique, kind, all of these things, then have someone that you trust help you go through the pictures and pick the ones that represent those words the best. Don't just pick the one where you look hot. Okay. That's the mistake everyone makes. But I look really hot in this photo. Yeah. You look really hot and you look really bitchy too. So let's scratch that photo. That's not one of your words. All right.
Right.
So you want to look really hot, but you want to look warm, friendly, compassionate, kind, smart, intelligent, all the other things.
Yes. I know we're running short on time, but I also wanted to ask you if you could give us any tips for, like, myself who's getting ready to prepare for a photo session. What can we do to prepare for that?
Yeah, of course. So the biggest tool that I ask people to do is create a mood board. Go onto Pinterest, just go and write a list of like 20 to 30 of your favorite things you love. If you love food, a specific type of food, if you like certain type of animals, if you love a specific type of clothing, hats, shoes, accessories, whatever it is, pin a variety of things onto your board. Once you do that, and I would say pin like 200 things. Don't stop at like 50 things. I know it seems like work, but it's not. And pin the high quality images, like things you would find in magazines or professional photo sessions. Okay. And then once you've done that, you can go through and you can figure out what your colors are, because you'll naturally, don't think about it while you're pinning. Look at it after you've pinned your favorite things.
Mm-hmm.
But naturally, you'll gravitate towards specific colors and you'll see them recurring. So
Mm-hmm.
once you see those colors, you go, okay, I know what my colors are. Use that for the design and everything, maybe the background colors for your pictures, whatever it is. And you can also use that for picking the coloring on your clothing. Then when you pin clothing, you can see what things you love the most. That'll help you curate a really elegant wardrobe for your photo session. And what I recommend is if you pin something that maybe might not look great on your body type, see what else it is about that you loved. So maybe it's not the cut. The cut might not look great on your body type, but you might love the texture of the material, the sheerness to it, or the weight of it, or the way it flows, or the way that the neckline is. So there might be something else about it that you love. So you can still find things, even if it's not right for your body type, that you can modify and make it work. And then lastly, pin to your board poses that you love. Really important. And again, go back to that storytelling dynamic. How can I tell a better story that tells people exactly what I do through an image? So if you work with people, have a photograph of you with people. So pin images of people working with other people to your board. So you have that to show the photographer and reference. So you could say, okay, see this girl, she's sitting in a coffee shop. I love how she's by the window and she's working on her computer and she's got her beautiful cup of coffee and she's laughing and having a great time. I want that image. That makes your life so much easier. And I'll tell you a secret. Photographers hate that. Oh, they hate that. When you give them a board of like preconceived ideas, this is what I want, they hate it because most photographers suck really, really bad and they can't deliver. So they see it and they go, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to get this person. They have this expectation of this image and I don't even know how to do it. So that's why they hate it. So they're going to go, oh, I like to just shoot natural. Just let me. No, it means that they're having a really hard time and they're struggling. So either fire them on the spot or say, great, I'm glad you're going to be able to deliver what I need, and give them your confidence so they can step up and give you that. Because all they have to do is look at the picture, look at you, look at the lighting in the picture, because you can read lighting from a picture and position you in the right way and get the exact same shot. So secret for you.
Okay. Great tips. Thank you. It's been such a great conversation. I mean, I could talk to you for hours. You have decades of experience to share. If there's one thing that you want to stick with somebody who's listening to this episode, what would that be?
Use your voice. Just use your voice. Don't hide in the shadows anymore. Stop being afraid of what other people are going to think and speak up. If you feel like something isn't right, say something. If your gut is saying to you, no, something's wrong, question it. Do not override your thought process and go, no, I need to trust this government entity, or I need to trust this creepy person on the internet, or I need to trust this person I've known for 20 years because I should just trust them. No. Ooh, there's mosquitoes. Sorry. No. I hate mosquitoes. I'm in Thailand. Okay. Just know, listen to yourself, listen to your gut, and use your voice and say no or say yes. But it's up to you.
I love that. It's been a whole conversation about getting to know yourself better, and that's just something I believe in so much. You've had so much fantastic stuff to teach us in this episode. Where can listeners connect with you and find out all the great things that you're doing and
the best place is on LinkedIn. You can find me, Sandy Grigsby. Don't forget that second G. Sandy Grigsby on LinkedIn. And if you, here's a special treat for your audience. If you find the connect button, I've hidden it on my LinkedIn. So you can follow me or you can connect. If you find the connect button and you message me online course, I will grant you 24-hour access to my LinkedIn learning course for free. So you'll have 24 hours from the time you click the link to watch the course, and it's creating your online image. It's everything I was telling you about how to create your image for photo sessions and all of that. But the catch is you have to connect and say where you came from. So if you heard it on this podcast, and online course. If you don't do that, I'm not going to know who you are. You're just another person connecting. I'm going to ignore you. And next.
I love it. Thank you.
Oh, you can also
so
find me
much.
on Instagram at Sandy in Focus.
Oh, I love it. Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much, Sandy. You've been an amazing guest. Thank you so much. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you.
So welcome. Thank you to Sandy for joining me on this episode. I'm going to leave all of her contact information and a link to her LinkedIn account so you can connect with her and get your 24-hour access to her LinkedIn course. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in to another empowering episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. I hope you found inspiration and valuable insights in my conversation with the amazing Sandy Grigsby. Remember, as a mompreneur, it's not about perfection. It's about embracing the journey and recognizing that you are already good enough. Sandy's wisdom on personal branding and self-discovery is a powerful reminder that authenticity is the key to building a strong and impactful presence, both personally and professionally. If you enjoyed today's episode and want more empowering content, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, and I would be so grateful if you took the time to leave a review. Your feedback helps us continue to bring you meaningful conversations and valuable tips. So as you go about your day, embrace the goodness in every moment. You're doing an incredible job, and your journey as a mompreneur is uniquely yours. Until next time, remember that you are not alone on this path, and you are more than good enough. So take care, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next episode of the Good Enough Mompreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Angela Mashuli. Have a great rest of your week. Bye.